Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva, the OG Thunder Wizard. Sorry, I'm scarfing down a little bit of lunch here before I get started. All right, so I want to talk to you today about the heart center and how I have come to the conclusion that physical immortality, sorry, I'm getting all my stuff here together, physical immortality, as well as complete health, can be accessed directly through the heart center. Heart center is the most important thing, and this is one of the least understood aspects of esoteric spirituality, energy magic. This has been classified, what I'm going to share with you, has been classified as left hand restricted black magic for a couple thousand years. But that's only because the power that you gain is extremely condensed, and it is a quicker path to the power. And traditionally, so bear in mind, we live in the modern times. And the kind of things that we have to deal with in modern times is a lot different than it was even 100 years ago. But you go back 1,000, 2,000 years ago, it wasn't that there wasn't, issues and war and things like that that went on. It was just that people's lives were very different. You dealt with what was directly around you. Your life was about chopping wood and getting water and chasing down chickens and whatever it is that you did. And so your life was very physical. It was very connected to the earth. And so people had a lot more time to do things like meditate for hours at a time. That lifestyle was very conducive to what we would call traditional energy work, traditional qigong, traditional spiritual practices, because the mindset was one of you spent time doing things. If you wanted to go somewhere, we think of now like everybody has a car. Not everybody had a horse. If you wanted to go somewhere, there was a good chance you were going to have to walk. And if you wanted to go on a long journey, there was a good chance you were going to have to put your stuff inside of a knapsack and throw it over your shoulder, and you were going to have to walk for days or months or years. So this was the kind of mindset that was associated with spiritual alchemy, energetic alchemy. And so the traditional right-handed path, what is still taught today in the majority of yogic schools and energy schools, qigong, meditation, tai chi, etc. They're doing the traditional path. It's the longer path, and that is the preferred method if you live 100, 200 years ago or more. That's the preferred method because the psyche can go through the transformation. You're already grounded to the earth. But the way things are now is that people, number one, don't have the lifestyle. They don't have the ability to go and sit for 3 or 4 hours. Now, not everybody's as lucky as me. I get to do whatever the hell that I want because I've made that decision and I put a huge amount of effort into being able to do whatever I want whenever the hell I want. So if I wanted to do that, I could spend 3 or 4 hours a day in meditation, and actually sometimes I do. But those of you who've got a family and you've got to, go to work or that kind of stuff, you're constantly being bombarded by television, by internet, by your phone, TikTok, and it's just, look, let's just get real. It's not conducive to that. Plus, the intensity at which we live, the intensity of our relationships, and the intensity of the dysfunction that is going on is, nothing has been as dysfunctional as it is now in the whole world. Never. And the frenetic dysfunction. There's been a lot of dysfunction throughout history, but the frenetic kind of dysfunction, people's brains don't operate the same way. And so it's nearly impossible for somebody to go the traditional route and achieve the kinds of levels of spiritual attainment that people did, a couple hundred years ago, 1,000 years ago. And so we're practicing these methods that are thousands of years old, and we're trying to bring them into the 21st century. And it doesn't, are we in the 21st or the 22nd century? I think we're in the 21st century. So bringing it into the 21st century, it's very difficult. But there has been a secret practice that has been taught for thousands of years under the radar that even the masters were not aware of. And those that practiced it had such levels of power and energy and consciousness that they were actually frightening to even high-level masters. And of course, just because somebody's a high-level master doesn't mean that they're free of ego. So people's egos were bent out of shape. And so, the long story short is, if you are able to access this energy that is surrounding the heart, which is the most potent energy there is, that you're not going to be able, let me be clear, you're not going to be able to access this through your normal heart chakra meditation or focusing on the heart center. You're not going to be able to tap into it. The energy that I'm talking about is inside a cocoon of energy that surrounds the soul in the heart center. And that energy is designed to stay self-contained, to protect the soul from three-dimensional reality. So the only way that you can access that most powerful of energies is through very specific physical techniques that act like switches that flip open the doors to that energy. It's like, imagine like Star Trek, and you're going to go and, fix the dilithium crystals, and you imagine, Mr. Scott opening some panel, and then there's this lightning energy flying around, and he has to be very careful. Some kind of like crazy nuclear energy. That's what I'm talking about. It's that powerful. And even high-level energy practices are not going to tap into this. I've seen a couple of people who have messaged me saying about, when I talk about this, saying, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I did that naturally. I didn't do any meditation, all right? No, I don't know what you tapped into. I'm not trying to denigrate that, but the only way you can get to this lightning energy that surrounds the heart is if you know the techniques to open those meridians to that specific energy center. And if you don't have that knowledge, the body is built to never release that. That's for your protection. So I'm here I've talked about the energy and what you can accomplish with the energy, but today what I want to focus on is physical immortality and physical health. And there's no shortage of energy practices, meditations, qigong, Reiki, yoga, all kinds of practices which, no doubt, if you do these things on a daily basis, you can live, you can achieve immortality, you can be healthy. But I have found that what we've been told is not entirely true. So what we've been told, even in the esoteric spiritual community, we have been told that you have this thing called chi or prana. People talk about kundalini, but kundalini is a different thing. We won't get into that. Chi or prana, which is located, centralized in the navel center. And there is chi or prana or life force energy in the ambient universe. You can go out into nature and you feel more of it because it's being exuded from all of the plant life. The earth itself releases a specific type of life force energy, an earth vibration. And so if you're out in nature or by the ocean, you can do some meditations and breathe and you will gain more life force energy. And there's practices, which we call qigong, which you can use to tap into that. And you're taught to focus on the navel and to breathe through the navel, and that is the method, that's the traditional method that's been done. But what I found is that people can even master those things and still end up with serious health problems. And it's because life force energy in and of itself, after, again, traditionally speaking, 1,000 years ago, you sit in a mountaintop, you reduce all of your attachments, you don't have people in your life, you don't have, all that stuff. You certainly don't have internet and, email and phone and text, and, you don't have all that stuff. And so you have the time to naturally and traditionally safeguard the heart center. Because what I'm getting at here is that the heart center is where a lot of disease happens. And I've explained it before, but generally speaking, what happens is there's some kind of a trauma, an emotional trauma. Your feelings are hurt. One of your parents dies. A loved one dies. You're rejected. The love of your life cheats on you. You're cheated at work. You're cheated in school. You've got whatever it is. It could be some kind of interpersonal trauma, which is absorbed by this energy in the heart, this lightning energy. As we've talked about, you've got this container where the soul sits, and the lightning bounces around, keeping the soul in a state where it can function in three-dimensional reality, and at the same time protect three-dimensional reality from the infinity of the soul. And so whenever you go through a trauma, that energy surrounding the heart center acts like a shield to protect the soul, and that trauma gets lodged. Now, traumas can get lodged in your aura as well. Past life traumas are going to be lodged in your aura. And when you do, you've noticed this, sometimes you'll have a spontaneous experience where you'll meditate or do some yoga or something, and you'll relive a past life, or you'll feel all kinds of feelings and emotions, and then it will dissipate. These things are called samskaras, and they're in our aura. And life patterns which are connected to karma will stimulate these samskaras, these life events, these traumas that are held in the aura, and then you'll have a release, and you'll either act out negatively or you'll work through it and you'll release the karma. But there's also things that happen in this life that the heart itself protects. So anytime you experience a trauma, it is lodged in the heart center. And normally, again, 1,000 years ago, something like this happens. Imagine now you have no shortage of ways to distract yourself. You got television, you got internet, you got YouTube, you got TikTok, you've got, there's always some kind of external stimulation, alcohol, drugs, whatever, that you can use to keep yourself distracted. But 100 years ago, 200 years ago, let's go 200 years ago. 200 years ago, something like that happens, and you go back home. There's no radio, there's no television, there's no phone, there's no internet, and you've got a lamp or a candle, and that's it. And the sound of the birds and a book. That's it. So people had to deal with their issues. Well, they didn't have to, but it was a lot easier because you had a bunch of downtime where you were alone and it was quiet. You also had a lot more time to sit and converse with other people. Whereas now we just escape. People come home and there's 2 bedrooms, and everybody goes off into their separate bedroom and watches their own television or gets on the computer. And there's no resolution of any problems or issues. So the point is that those traumas sit in the heart center and they don't get resolved. Now, an unresolved trauma in the heart center takes up life force energy, because that field of energy surrounding the soul, protecting the heart, that's energy that should be going into all of your bodily tissues, that is being used to hold a trauma. And it's wrestling with it all the time. Just because you're not conscious of it doesn't mean it's not happening. This is why I talk so much about the unconscious mind, the part of your mind you're not aware of. Different from the subconscious, the unconscious. You do not know what's happening. This is what's happening when you have illness. Illness in the body, whether it's cancer or, pick your illness. It's a result of the body that is holding on to some trauma, and all of the energy that's going to hold that trauma from being released and expressed is not going into the organs and the tissues. And so when the same kind of thing happens when the heart center has a bunch of wounds that it's holding on to on an unconscious level, then the energy that would normally go into all of the cells and the tissues is being diverted. And so this is how you end up with all kinds of illnesses. This is how you end up dying of old age. The thing about old age, and now I'm 57 now, and so I'm starting to understand a lot of things that people have said, about getting older. And what I've come to realize is that the difficulties that people have, the old age problems, they have heart problems, they have knee problems, they have, they're all just regular physical stuff. I've come to realize is that's what happens when you have an unresolved issue in your psyche and you hold on to it for 10, 20, 30 years. And what ends up happening is that the lack of energy, the amount of energy that's stored in these issues, whether it's in the physical body itself or in the heart center, the amount of energy that's diverted to keep those things from your conscious mind, the body begins to suffer and break down. Because I'm 57 years old, and I can tell you, I've had both. I've had health issues, and I've had great health. And the truth is, on the whole, right now, I'm far more healthy than I was even in my 30s. In terms of physical problems and issues, I just don't have any of it. I have the normal stuff that happens when you get to be 57, which is, I can't surf in big waves for 4 hours. I don't have the lung power anymore to do it. I got the strength. I can go into the gym and lift more than I ever have in my life. I can get a lot more done. I feel tremendous on a physical level. So there's a difference between the body just getting old and having age-related health issues. And I've come to the conclusion that age-related health issues, unless you're doing stupid things, which is still connected to it, like drinking a bunch of alcohol or smoking cigarettes all your life, or stupid things like that, those are obvious. Those things, of course, build up over time and destroy the body. But there are people who've been healthy their whole lives. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they get plenty of rest, they do all that, but then something will happen and their body will start falling apart. They'll get some major issue, and it's, you see it. You can see it in people. One of the things that, at my age, when I, if I go on dating apps, which, is kind of a waste of time because women are only looking at my age, and so, the women I'm attracted to don't even bother looking at me. But you can't tell. Once you get to age 40, there can be a 40-year-old that looks 70, and there can be a 60-year-old that looks 40. And it all depends on their ability to live life from the heart. And so it's just, you can't ever tell. And I can never tell what somebody's age is, lots of times. And like I said, there are women my age that look like my grandmother, and there are women my age that look, eternally youthful and healthy. And so that, obviously those are the ones that I look towards. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. So we're going to be talking about lightning qigong. So let's go, just so I can stay on track about something. Let's talk about the 5 levels of lightning qigong. So we've talked about this before, but let's talk about it again. So by doing the lightning qigong, which is the esoteric practices that have been kept secret for 2,000 years, first thing that happens is you open the meridians and the chakras. And let me just bear in mind, this is not an intellectual process. If you're watching this video thinking he's going to talk about how to connect to the heart center and I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to intellectualize it and I'm going to think good thoughts and I'll connect to my heart center and I'll be healthy. Well, there won't be anything wrong with that. It certainly won't hurt you, but that's not what I'm talking about. There are very specific techniques, and this is the good news. You don't have to be super conscious and aware of all of the issues in your heart, because the likelihood is that you're not going to be conscious of them at all. You're going to be unconscious of them. So you can be in a really bad state, emotionally, psychologically. You can be really far down. You can be full of pain and misery and all that. No problem. We're just simply going to pull the switches, which are different postures, different movements, which open up the meridians. And this energy of the heart center, I've come to find out, is a different meridian system than your traditional qigong. I've talked about it in other videos, and I'll keep it short here, but when I started training in this 30 years ago, and I would go and talk to traditional qigong masters, traditional tai chi masters, and I would talk about the energy, they would look at me funny. And I would say, how do you get to this and that? And they'd say, I had never experienced that. Or if I demonstrated the energy on them, they would get this weird look on their face, and some of them got frightened. The Chinese people especially said that I was getting my energy from evil spirits. And they would, one Taoist abbot, after learning what I was doing, wouldn't let me into his studio. He was so afraid of me. And so I didn't understand what was going on. I thought, I'm doing the same stuff these people are doing. Come to find out that I wasn't. And when I 10 years ago, when I made the Celestial Qigong videos, which you can check out at spirittao.com. When I made the Celestial Qigong videos, I thought I was just creating a slightly different but same sort of traditional Qigong practice. Maybe I called it Negong, which is internal work, because it was more powerful than your typical Qigong. And since then, I've had enough feedback and enough research to find out that no, it's a completely different meridian system that's been hidden. But the good news is it's just as easy to tap into. It just depends on where you put your palms, what you do with your fingers, the mudra that you have. Very simple stuff. It's the easiest thing in the world. And what it does is it opens up that portal to the lightning center. Now that lightning energy, when that is released in the body and it bathes the internal organs and goes through all of the nerves and the nervous system within the body begins to become younger. One of the things that you'll notice is that your hands become softer than a baby's. Your skin becomes really soft. And you end up having, you end up being more limber, you end up having, just all kinds of crazy stuff starts happening where your body starts getting younger. And that is the direct result of it. Now, here's the downside. The downside is that once you release that energy around the heart center, that lightning energy, it's called the Shin, the heart mind. When you tap into it directly and release it, you have to deal with the feelings that come up. So those of you who are doing the practice, you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So I work with people, and I have apprentices that I work with, and I'm having to tell them how to handle all of the emotions that are coming up, all the new realizations. Because the other thing that happens is you start to die to your old ideas of who you are. So bear in mind, this is different. I want to be clear. This is different from your average heart chakra meditation, which is perfectly fine and works very well. This is something different. It's like we're opening up the energy thing and we're just going straight into the forbidden, do not touch, high, electrical shock. We're going straight into that. So we're doing the opposite. What ends up happening traditionally is when you do the normal heart chakra meditations where you very slowly and in a more user-friendly way, you access the pains, get more vulnerable and open to the feelings of your heart, which include all the traumas that you've experienced. I likened it, like Kundalini yoga was said to be this really high level thing. And for me, it was very user-friendly. But my teacher would say, no, this is the highest level. This is the most direct. And I would say, wow, this feels really mellow to me. That's because compared to the lightning energy, it was. Because even if you do like a lot of yoga where you go into the heart center, it's going to be released in a more user-friendly way. It doesn't mean you won't have some issues or some challenges, but it'll be more user-friendly. But you also don't get the same intensity of energy. When you start doing these practices that I'm teaching here at the 90-day challenge, the lightning qigong, when you start doing that, you're tapping directly into the energy. And I liken it to this clip from the, what was that? Sorry, I start talking about this and I get loopy and my brain doesn't work so good. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. From the movie Dr. Manhattan here, it's more like this. Instead of having this user-friendly Kundalini awakening where there's the tears and you start to experience things and you let go of things slowly, it's more like you tap directly into the energy and the energy starts to destroy these blocks, but you end up having to feel all of it immediately. Like Dr. Manhattan here, it can feel like this. You get completely destroyed to who you thought you were, which is in the heart center. This is where your psyche is. And then you put yourself back together. And then what ends up happening is you have access to all of your energy. And then this kind of stuff does happen. This is why the people who practice this and were able to spend all of their time in, out in the middle of nowhere, ashrams, etc., etc. That's why these guys became seen as black magicians, because their power was unbelievable. So we have come into a time where human beings have come to a nexus point. We can no longer wait. The human race is on a timeline where if we do not evolve to the next level in this lifetime, then we are going to continue down a timeline which will take us into another dark ages. I mean, I don't even need to start telling you all the things that's going on in the world. There's never been a time when people have been more disconnected and more confused. Never in the history, for instance, in the United States, has there ever been a time when people didn't know what the outcome of an election was, when people didn't know what the truth was on that level. There's never been anything like it. And that's the universe saying, hey, it's time to wake up. That means that there is this, there are wounds in our heart center that need to be addressed immediately. And it's a human-wide thing. It's part of the unconscious collective of the whole human race. And so this technology, this spiritual technology, which has been kept secret for 2,000 years for good reason, because the average person, if they go through this kind of transformation, it's unnecessary for up until now. But now we have to have this kind of immediate destruction of the limitations and to rebuild ourselves back to our most authentic, most powerful self. And that is what we are destined to be. We're destined to be these gods on earth. And the universe wants to get to that level. And if we choose, as we have done, we've done it numerous times in the past, but if we as a species choose to push that away, the end result is going to be another serious, dark ages, where the world is going to descend into some kind of really nasty dystopian kind of dark age. So what we're going to do in this, which we have been doing, is we do very specific exercises that are just about, you just put this hand here and you just make this mudra and you breathe this way and you move this way, and all of a sudden all that energy is released. We are doing what I've been doing in the 90-day challenge. If you go there and click onto the Warrior 90-day Lightning Qigong, what we've been doing is I have been laying the foundation for getting the nervous system and the meridians ready for the energy to come. Now, I've already started introducing it, so some of you are already tapping into this heart-mind lightning energy that surrounds the soul. And this is really what this is all about. Again, if you're coming onto my channel and all you want to do is listen to me talk and think about it, then it's like, you're just standing outside as a spectator. This is something you have to physically experience. You won't know, this is why you see I get annoyed and impatient with people who don't do the practice, who are asking a bunch of questions, because I go, listen, you're talking about something you haven't experienced yet. You have to experience it. And people are asking me questions, how long do I have to do this, and when is that, and when is that? I say, just do it. Just do it. All you have to do is subscribe. You can unsubscribe the next month. What's the worst that can happen? You spend $55 to check it out, and if you don't like it, unsubscribe. Big deal. So that's you don't have the money, then don't drink a Starbucks coffee every day for a month, and then you'll have plenty of money. So this is something that has to be physically practiced, right? So let's take a look at our list again, and then I'll answer some questions. Oh, that's another one. So first thing I talked about is the immortality or the age reversal. The invulnerability destroys evil. Now I could go into, what I learned was called spirit fighting, which was, when you see me doing the forms, it looks like I'm doing some type of, it's a Kung Fu practice. So it looks like I'm doing some Kung Fu practice, but hidden in that was the lightning energy that actually makes a person physically invulnerable to evil energy, especially evil spirits and ghosts. So you can do this practice. Like I said, it looks like I'm doing some kind of Kung Fu thing, which it is. But once you've released the energy, you can go into haunted places, just walking in there, and the energy coming off of your body will drive away negativity. So this is what I learned. I've reverse engineered all of these moves that you're seeing here, because now I know what's happening with the palms and the feet and the fingers that's opening up the meridians. And so the invulnerability isn't just an energetic thing. The invulnerability becomes, you become invulnerable to any kind of negative energy that comes at your heart. So that means you become invulnerable to people's negative thoughts. You become invulnerable to the negative energy that people, what they do to you, what they say. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean you don't have normal human feelings. In fact, you will feel things more intensely. So it doesn't mean you won't get your feelings hurt, or you won't get angry, or you won't get confused. You'll have all those same kinds of things, and in fact, you will feel it more intensely. But the idea is that the emotions now have full power to do their job. And so then we start working with the 5 elements. Some of you are already doing that. In fact, when you work with the 5 elements, the way that I teach, you start really experiencing your emotions fully. Again, this can be very shocking and it can be uncomfortable. And this is why it was seen as black magic, because the average person needs a more user-friendly way, but we don't have the time. We don't have the luxury to do that. If we don't change, and if we don't change now, then there's going to be more of this kind of stuff coming. And if you do go through the changes, and even if the rest of the world goes into a dark age, you're going to be invulnerable. That's been my experience. As long as I listen to my instinct and listen to my heart, and I listen to my soul, and I do this work, the universe lines up in such a way where there can be bombs blowing up all over the place, but it's like, for me, I live in this safe little, everything just perfectly lines up. So you become invulnerable to negativity, you become invulnerable to lasting damage. I just want to be clear about that. You become invulnerable to lasting damage from other people. You become invulnerable to the problems and the issues that assault, most people in society. And you also become invulnerable to the things that will then normally attach inside of you and create disease. So the downside, as I said, the downside is you have to deal with the feelings, and they're going to be more intense. Sorry, but that's just the way it is. The upside is those negative feelings will never find a place to attach, which means you get to stay healthy and youthful. Now, there's a lot of people out there that do a really good job of shoving their feelings down. And so on a conscious level, they don't even know what's going on or that they're upset, but they've got all kinds of physical problems. You know people like this. They're very nice, they're very sweet, they're very loving. They never have a negative thing to say. They never raise their voice. They never get upset. They never get angry. And they're dying of cancer, or, they've got some kind of, they got sciatica where they can't function. They can't move. Their joints, they got arthritis. They're just completely falling apart. But consciously, they're perfectly happy and fine and very sweet and loving. Well, that is an example of the unconscious emotional issues that are tearing people apart. So you notice, you've seen with me, I'm very direct. One of the reasons I'm so direct is because I don't have not only the desire, but I don't have the ability to hang on to stuff. I can't do it. So if you piss me off or hurt my feelings or something, I'm going to let you know. Sometimes I am I'm inaccurate. And I'll respond in a way, and then I'll have to apologize later. You've seen me do that as well. But the more that you do this, then you start to have true compassion. And true compassion comes from a place of strength where you aren't placating somebody's self-destruction or negativity, but you also don't judge them. And that is a fine line. And that is when you're operating directly from the heart. The deities in mythology, like Thor, for instance. Thor in the Norse tradition is seen as somebody who, is just very direct with his feelings and his emotions. And you see that with the gods. They'll explode with emotions, but it means that there's no filter. Now, we're not talking about somebody who's just releasing their unconscious impulses, because the other thing that you have to do if you do this practice is you must learn to be able to act constructively, to have all of your feelings, as intense as they are, and feel the energy coursing through your body, and still be able to take constructive action. And that's something that some of us have to learn. And this is what counseling is for, and mentoring and apprenticeship and even psychology is for. I have a psychologist I still work with, and I have a group of people I still work with. And that, to me, is part of my spiritual practice. All right? So bottom line here, now that I've talked about all this, imagine having access to this infinite nuclear charged power of the heart that can go into all of the organs and the tissues of the body, allowing the body to destroy illness, to destroy negativity, and to balance. And this is what we're doing here when we're working with the 5 elements. We're learning how to, first we learn how to balance the emotions and the 5 organs. Very simple, very simple. They're just very simple sounds that you make. And you can combine them with physical postures that, again, open up the switches to these meridians. And this heart center meridian that I talk about here, that has the lightning center, it also has connection to the 5 elements. So you can work directly with the heart center and be working with the 5 elements of that. And this is what we're doing. A very powerful way to balance the emotions. And then in the more advanced way of using the 5 elements, which is either misunderstood or not even known it exists, is a way of purifying. So this is where you go in and you release all of the pent-up emotions that are stuck in your organs and, of course, in the body as well. And again, the downside is, well, you got to have all of your feelings. You're gonna release and experience things from your childhood and from your past. But then when you let go of that and you recreate a new self, then all of that energy is available for your body. And again, your body can be revitalized and healthy. You can have eternal youth, eternal health. And if you master it, you might even be able to become perfected immortal. So I'm not guaranteeing that. I myself am not holding out for that. I'm just doing it to enjoy my life as much as I can. So we're looking at the, which ones are we looking at? We're looking at the, what were we looking at here? We were looking at the 5 levels, yeah. So you open up the meridians, you activate the 5 elements, you activate the hands of infinity. That's what's coming next. The hands of infinity. So those of you who are getting ready for that, you're already on level 2 on the Thunder Wizard Warrior 90-day challenge, Lightning Qigong. What's going to come in the level 3 is going to actually be the level 1 of the true Lightning Qigong. And that is called the hands of infinity. And it means that for every action that you take, there's infinite numbers of actions that you can take beyond that. Anything that happens to you, there's infinite numbers of responses. And there's going to be a specific posture and movement, very simple, that I'm going to teach you that's going to directly connect to the earth element in this specific meridian here, which again, this meridian is lightning, it's the feminine fire. So look at that, there's multiple levels of it. So it's the lightning energy, which is a fire energy, which is feminine. And then within that, there are the 5 elements within that as well. We're going to tap into the earth element. So we're really going to turn on the power of earth. And then you start to understand the power of earth is true manifestation, which is why it's the infinite hands, the hands of infinity. You start to really understand the power that is in the manifested universe. You will tap directly into that, into the lightning center of the heart. And this is also going to put huge amounts of energy in your hands. So if you're a healer, for example, you're going to, trust me, you're going to see a huge difference. You're going to be able to just hold your hands above somebody and people are going to be going, what are you doing? What is that crazy energy coming out of your hands? All right, so that's where we're going next. I'm happy to take any questions. This is a question and answer. Let's see here. Mary Jane Trips, sounds like you're new to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If you do have a question, you can write the word question. As you can see, Jedi Black Knight, he writes the word question in all caps and then writes his question. And I encourage you to take a look at this. She says, I was looking for how to open the heart chakra meditations. Now I'm seeing this. So this is going to be different, and in my experience, beyond a lot of the other stuff that you're going to find out there. So first thing, Mary Jane Trips, I would suggest that you do is go on to YouTube and just type in Hool Breath. Now, there's a few of my students on there who teach how to do it, but there's a video of me that I put up 10 years ago of me doing it. That's my free gift to everybody. Do that. That will actually connect you to the heart, to the power of the heart center, and it will connect you to the earth. It'll connect you to heaven as well. But it's the most grounding, most healing, most balancing meditation practice I know of, and that's why I give it away for free. So go check that out. Just type in H-U-U-L breath into YouTube and you'll find it. You can get started with that, and then if you want to go deeper, you can come back and you can subscribe to this, and I'll be happy to answer your questions about it. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, in case you want to get a Vedic reading from him, Vedic astrological reading. He is one of my licensed apprentices, and he does my style of Vedic astrology, and his website is vincent.thunderwizard.com. By the way, anybody who, if you want to get a certification from me, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com and you can get a certification from me, and if you pass the test, which is very simple, then I will also give you your own website where you can go and give people Vedic readings or rune readings. Jedi Black Knight. Oh, wait, sorry. Vincent says, hey, Mahadeva, started therapy recently and I'm so very glad I did. I'm working through a lot of issues. Thank you for encouragement and seeking emotional healing. Good. I'm glad that you're doing that. It's really important. Jedi Black Knight question. I practice the 5-element cleansing sequence daily. So for those of you who don't know, there are 2 sequences. One is the creative sequence, which builds energy. And then there's a cleansing sequence, which is not taught. I mean, I won't teach it publicly because it's very powerful and should be done correctly. And that actually purifies the elements. So he's talking about that. He says, I practice the 5 elements cleansing sequence daily, and lately I've suddenly started consuming more alkaline foods. Could this be due to subtle changes brought about by the elements? Absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence. You know, when you start to purify the elements, what ends up happening is that you are more intuitive to what your body wants. Your 5 organs are now telling you what kind of foods they want to eat. And you're becoming more conscious. You may not even, this is another thing, you'll start becoming more conscious. You may not notice it, other people will start to notice it. But you know, the more conscious you are, the more connected to your intuition you are, the more connected you are to your body. And then you're not stuffing feelings down, because people use food and other things to stuff their feelings down or to avoid feelings. So now you're doing the purifying 5-element sequence, which means that you're purifying your emotions and you're releasing trapped emotional blocks. And so there's no payoff anymore in, you know, doing things that maybe you're unconsciously doing in terms of food. I don't know if that's the case with you, but that could definitely be part of it. It could just be as simple as you're becoming more in tune with your body and what your body needs. All right, that's it. No more questions? All right, we don't have to go much longer today. I'll go through the rest of the 5, whatever the heck it is that I'm doing. Let's see, what do I need here? I need this. So activating the 5 elements, activating the hands of infinity. So the next level after activating the hands of infinity is called facing the mirror. Facing the mirror, again, a few people have contacted me saying, what is the mirror dimension? I want to go there. I think I've been to the mirror dimension. It's like, no, we're overthinking it. Again, this is why experience is important here. The mirror dimension is just simply facing your mirror self. That's it. Everything has a mirror to it. You know, we live in the physical world, but there's a spiritual world. You have 2 sides to your body. You have a right and a left. And if you look at somebody's, you know, the right side of somebody's face, and then you look at the left side of somebody's face, you'll see it's different. The eyes look different. There's a different feeling that comes off of it. You know, you're right-handed and left-handed. There's a right-hand path and a left-hand path. These are the mirror. Most people, in order to function, we don't go through the mirror. We stay in the physical. But facing the mirror means that you now start integrating the unseen, the unphysical with the physical, and that means you have to look at yourself. You're going to have to look at your dark side. Again, this isn't intellectual. A lot of people talk about doing shadow work, etc., etc. Nothing wrong with that. There's a whole different level of actually seeing your mirror self, seeing your other half, seeing your dark side, a positive and negative. You'll have to learn how to accept positive things about yourself that you've suppressed in order to fit in order to be loved and accepted. A lot of us suppress our power and our gifts so that we won't make other people uncomfortable, so that we'll be able to get along and fit in with society. You'll have to take a look at the negative things. You know, your unconscious issues, your aggression, your passive aggressiveness, your guilt, your judgment, your sadness, your pain. You're going to have to look at that. That's the mirror. So facing the mirror means really facing yourself in totality. And there's a whole spiritual power that comes from that. So this is where we start getting into more and more of the spirit fighting, where, you know, the reason why, you know, you think about it, for instance, if a person knocked on your door, if a homeless person knocked on your door and just walked in and started, you know, eating your food, you know, if you didn't kick them out yourself, you would call the police and say, hey, some homeless guy just walked into my house. Can you come get him out of here? You don't have, there's no confusion. This guy doesn't belong here, get him out. But you can be sitting at your kitchen table and a ghost appears, or, you know, lights flicker on and off, or something floats and then falls, or you hear a disembodied voice, and what do? You freeze. And you go, what do I do? You feel trapped. You don't realize that you don't have access to the spiritual world, and you can talk to spirits the same way you talk to a person. Get the hell out. You don't belong here. This is my house. Go into the light already. You don't belong here anymore. You're dead. We don't have a problem saying that to homeless people. Hey, you know, go to a shelter. Get the hell off my front lawn. You don't belong here. That's because it's in what we understand. But when it starts happening in the stuff we don't understand, we get all bent out of shape. But it's part of our reality. It's just part of the mirror we don't look into. So when you look into the mirror, you start to see things on the other side. Maybe you'll have more of a psychic experience, more of a whatever it is. But it's nothing unusual. This is why I get annoyed with people when they want to travel to another dimension, and it's like, why do you need to do that? You're here in this amazing dimension. You're not accomplishing anything by escaping, but integrating, having the dark and the light, having the physical and the non-physical be part of your reality. That's just awakening to what already exists. It's not doing something new and fancy. But again, for the average person, in order to function, we have to sort of keep that side of the mirror, you know, to itself. Now you'll learn how to integrate it. One of the benefits is you get more connected to things in the non-physical or quote spiritual realm. Okay, what else? Nicola Karma. All right. So again, I prefer to have questions, but I'm happy since there's nobody on here. I'll take a look at your comment here. So you say, I've been living for 10 years with a brain tumor, working full-time as a nurse. I did your whole breath and I'm experiencing stuff in my body that is causing me to feel like I'm dead. I don't know what that means. I wish I did. First off, let me say I am not a medical professional. So while I can talk about this, and if you do this, you'll be healthier, you know, I can say that with conviction. I do not know what you need to do, you know, in terms of, you know, going to the doctor, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not here to treat things. So when you say you've been doing the whole breath and experiencing stuff in the body that's causing me to feel like I'm dead, you need to tell me more about what that means. That could mean that you're becoming aware of how you've been, quote, killing yourself. It may mean that there are sensations going on in your body. It may mean your nerves are waking up. I don't know, but I need to know what that means. You need to give me some specifics, and maybe I can help you. Forgotten Grace says, after my Kundalini awakening, I had the indescribable gift of heart-mind connection. I'm still in awe of the wonder I have since. So I am happy for you. I'm glad. So without any prejudice, what I'm talking about is going to be different. There might be some similarities, but that kind of experience, as powerful as it is, what I'm talking about is going to be of a different nature. Again, I'm not trying to compare. But again, maybe you can do this, you can go do the practices, and then you can compare and see what the similarities and the differences are. But actually what we do is we work with all three of the energies. So people use the word Kundalini awakening. So again, I don't know you, Forgotten Grace. Forgive me. I don't know anything about you, so this might not apply to you. My experience is that people use the word Kundalini awakening and it can mean anything. People talk about Kundalini psychosis, where people say I had a Kundalini awakening and then I had these horrible nightmares and I had energy running through my body. That's not a Kundalini awakening, that's actually a Kundalini blockage. And the Kundalini is being stimulated and the nerves are going off. The nerve tissues are going off because there's actually a block. The Kundalini is trying to make it through the nervous system, but there's an emotional block that's keeping things, and that's when people go loopy. But a lot of people say the word Kundalini awakening, and it could mean, might not have anything to do with Kundalini. It could just be an emotional awakening. It could be a chi experience. So again, I don't know you, so I'm not necessarily saying anything about you. So you had the indescribable gift of heart-mind connection, which is very common when you do work with Kundalini. That's one of the things that will happen. Again, the heart-mind I'm talking about is a different thing. You can go look it up. It's called the Shin, and it's the heart-mind. You might even be able to find things about it in qigong or traditional Chinese medicine. So if you are talking about Kundalini, we are talking about a different thing. But what I do in this practice is I've integrated all three. Normal qigong, Kundalini work, which is the Kundalini. The difference between Kundalini and chi is life force energy. Everything has chi in it, everything. Kundalini is specific to human beings. It rises up the spinal column and is connected to the nervous system. And it is about the human psychic identity, psychological identity. It is the spiritual energy that creates an identity that the soul can identify with. And so this is why people have a spiritual experience, because it allows you to have a limited human identity and connect to your soul. It's sort of like your Kundalini is like the avatar that the soul uses to be an individual. Because the soul doesn't have an identity like that. It doesn't have a limited identity. So this is why Kundalini is so sought after. And then there is the heart mind, which is the lightning power. And that, as I said, is something that has not, to my knowledge, been released to this power to the public. If it has been done, I'm not aware of it. But I'm combining, I think I'm the first person to consciously do this. I'm combining all three of these powers together. And my experience is that when you do that, the experiences, I've never experienced anything as powerful as it. I can only speak for myself. So she says, let's see. I'm still in awe of the wonderful experience I had since then. Most would not even believe my story if I told them I used the power of the heart to clear my skies of chemtrails over 2 years ago. I radiated love from my heart, love for humanity, earth, plants, animals, and trees, and the trails dissipated. So, yeah, I have to tell you, Forgotten Grace, I'm not sure that I am somebody that subscribes to the whole chemtrails thing. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I don't know. But welcome to the channel. I invite you to watch the videos and see if this is a path that will work for you. If so, you're more than welcome here. Let's see what else. So she says, paralyzed. Let's see. So Nicola Karma says she's been living with a brain tumor and she did it and she was paralyzed. So I'm assuming that that was the feeling of being paralyzed. You'll have to tell me, does that mean you literally were paralyzed and you couldn't move? Does that mean you became permanently paralyzed and couldn't move? Or was it a feeling of temporary paralysis? Was there an emotion associated with it? I need more information to see if I can help you. Fem sample CG. When I usually think a ghost or spirit or something non-physical, and I tend to smile and say, welcome, what do you want? Not completely sure why I do that. Yeah, so here's the thing. When you work with the heart mind, you start working directly with the ascended masters. And you can tell the difference between an ascended master and a ghost. If you start doing this, ghost will stop entering your room. There's no shortage of spirits, walking around. By the way, a ghost is not the soul of a dead person. A ghost is the lower self. We have three selves: the higher self, the middle self, which is your soul, which is you, and then the lower self. The lower self is all of your emotions, your constructed human identity. My name is so-and-so, I live here, I do this. That's why people say I've got a gut feeling. It's because it's your psychology. Now, when somebody dies a tragic death or dies too soon, etc., that lower self doesn't have time to do what it's supposed to do, which is go back into the earth and then release its connection to that human, and then it can be an earth spirit, or it can go and become another lower self for a person. But when that doesn't happen, it gets squished out onto 3 dimensions, and it walks around thinking, so-and-so. It's stuck in time. It thinks it's still 1865. The ghost is walking off the cliff every single night because it got left at the altar. That's somebody's lower self walking around. So that won't happen anymore. If you do this practice, what will happen is, first, what might happen sometimes is that the spirits feel it and get stimulated and might come and look, or might even cause some problems because they don't like it. But then once you stick with it, you clear out the space and you end up having none of that happen. I can't go on, ghost hunting tours, because if I walk onto the house, all the ghosts will hide or leave, and they won't find anything. So if you want that, that's one of the things that happens here when you work with the heart mind. Forgotten Grace. So you're the one that had, the Kundalini. So energy shot up my back and shot out of my head and rained love and light all over. The heart thing was like a non-sexual orgasm of the heart that radiates throughout the other. Yeah, that sounds like I've had that experience, and I have heard of that experience when it comes to Kundalini. That is a wonderful thing. Fem Sampi GCG. I feel nice. I see some signs if they enter the present. Makes me happy for some reason. This is okay. Forgotten Grace. Can you share what it would feel like? That's like trying to tell somebody who doesn't have sexual organs what it's like to have an orgasm. It's something you got to experience. So can I share what it feels like? You mean this stuff? I can talk around it, but it's not, I've done both. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I've done Kundalini yoga. I've had Kundalini experiences. I do know what you're talking about. This stuff is different. You're just going to have to experience it. It's not an intellectual thing. I do all the talking here, but it's really about doing the practice. So you can go to the 90-day challenge and check it out. You can try some of the free qigong practices, or the Hool breath that I've already given. You can try that. That will get you on the periphery of it and might open it up. Maybe you'll have a similar experience. Maybe it'll be different. But this is something you have to experience to know whether or not you like it or have experienced it. Okay, so she has been watching my videos. Welcome to the channel. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. All right, so he's just talking to him. Brandon Little, question. Brandon Little, put it all in all caps if there's a lot of people, because I'll miss it. Just the word question. Question, when opening your heart chakra through qigong, did you have any contact with guides or other spirits in assistance with the opening? I can answer that question, but I'm more interested in asking you why you're asking me that. So you're obviously asking, doesn't sound like you've done it. So I don't know if you've done my practices or not. You're wanting to know what my specific experience is with spirits assisting with the opening. there's a reason why you're asking. It's not just out of curiosity. That's something that you want, or there's something you're afraid of. Why are you asking me this question? I can better help you if you tell me why you're asking. All right, so while we're doing that, I want to go ahead and play for you an old trailer, 10-year-old trailer of the Celestial Qigong, which is one of the entry-level things that you need to do along with this. So the 90-day challenge, Lightning Qigong, and the Celestial Qigong are the two fundamental practices that you need to get your body and your meridians and your nerves ready for the full power of the heart mind. So let's go ahead and watch that. Hi, I'm Michael Denny of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven. And the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Negung. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang Qing arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang Qing tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. All right, it's obviously not July 2009. That was a long time ago. So it's been 11 years? 12 years? Is it that how old it is? Is it 12 years old? Yeah, so that is, you're going to need that along with the 90-day challenge to get ready for the first part when I talk about going from the infinite hands, the power of tapping into the earth element associated with the heart mind that gives you access to the power of creation. And it'll give you crazy power in your hands as well as the rest of your body. Some of the other things that happens is that people will experience the meridians on the bottom of the feet. Like, you know, especially early on when you're practicing, one of the things that happens is as you're waking up in the morning, your palms are pulsating with energy and the bottoms of your feet are pulsating with energy. And that's, you know, the meridians opening up. Now, I practice now on almost a daily basis, and I don't I don't have that experience, which means that my meridians are now more open. So I'm more used to the energy. But in the beginning, sometimes it can be really intense. So Brandon said, had asked a question. When opening your heart chakra through qigong, did you have any contact with guides or spirits and assistance with the opening? And I asked him why. And he said, I was wondering if qigong assisted with channeling. And I've asked him more. I need more information from you. So bear in mind, this is again one of the things that happens when you work with the heart mind. I'm far more interested in what you personally and emotionally want. What is it that you want to accomplish? Why are you asking these things? I'm really interested in solving the real problem. There's an assumption behind your question. You're wondering if qigong assisted with channeling. So your question is about channeling. But instead of asking me, hey, Mahadeva, I really want to channel and I want this and that, instead of doing that, you're saying, hey, will that help? You're not really being vulnerable and direct and honest about what you want and why you want it. And I'm far more interested in that than just, passively throwing out answers to your questions. Because it doesn't serve you if I throw out an answer to your question and I don't know why you're asking it, what it is you're really trying to accomplish. So Brandon says, I have had power opening by channeling my guides through them, recalling memories that were blocked. I haven't did qigong, but I have lost my ability to channel. I was hoping qigong could help. So, yeah, again, I asked you a couple of questions. I asked, have you done the 90 days? So that sounds like a no. So you haven't done the practice. And you've had the experience of having power opening by channeling your guides through them. Recalling memories that were blocked. I haven't done qigong, but I've lost my ability to channel. So the assumption is, there's a couple of assumptions. One is that channeling is going to fix your problems, which it may or may not. The other one is that you have all the control over channeling. So you don't see that you are assuming. Now the guides, assuming that you're telling an accurate scenario and guides channeled through you, you aren't honoring them. You're treating them like an object. You're wanting to have them do their thing whenever you want it. And it's a two-way street. It's a relationship. So just because you're not having an experience now doesn't mean you won't have another experience later. But it's like going to the doctor. The doctor says, here, take this pill 3 times a day for a week. If you keep coming back for that pill, he says, no, I already gave you what you needed. Take what I've given you. So Brandon, be more humble and more open with them. They're not there. They're not, it's not a, it's not a vending machine. They're not a vending machine for you to put in a quarter and then have them do what you want when you want it. They gave you an experience. You're supposed to meditate and continue with that experience. When you're ready for the next one, it'll come. Now, everybody's different. There are some people that channel and have, all kinds of immediate experiences. So again, see, this is what I mean. Now, had I said to you, yes, then you would have gone, okay, I'll do your thing, but you would have been doing it with that assumption and with that agenda to go and do this practice because of some other thing you want to have happen. And that's not, I don't want that. If you're going to do this practice, you do it because you're going to do it and you're going to see what it is. You're going to learn it for what it is and do it for what it is. People ask me, what's going to happen? How can I feel it? It's that you have to go do it. This is a modern way of thinking. People didn't think like this in ancient times. You never, ever walked into a master studio and said, what am I going to get from this? He'd say, thank you, there's the door. You never walk in and you say, is that like such and such practice? He'd say, thank you, there's the door. You walk in and you say, what should I do first? You don't ask questions because you don't even know what to ask about. You don't even know what you don't know yet. You go and do the practice. You have a desire to learn. You have a desire to have an experience. You have a desire to grow. You go and do the practice. So I know you meant no disrespect, but that's why I was stopping you, because you're asking me, obviously there's an agenda to your question. And it's about your selfish, narcissistic, I want to have this experience and this, and is your thing going to do what I want? And, I would say, listen, come here because you want to learn, and you come with an open mind and with an empty cup. And then you'll have experiences, and it's going to be like nothing you've ever experienced before. So there's no point in having a question. You know what I mean? Give it a try. You don't like it? Stop it and go do something else. Forgotten Grace says, oh, she's talking to Vincent. All right. So again, Forgotten Grace, normally what I do is this is a question and answer. You write a word question and I respond. But let me see if I want to respond to your statement here. Having communications with higher dimensional beings, getting down as a psychic drums, and I would like to. Okay, so are you responding to my question? My question was to Brandon, but I'll take yours as well. Having communications with higher dimensional beings, getting downloads of useful spiritual information, having psychic dreams, etc., and I would like to learn as much as I can about this journey. Yes, so I'm assuming you're responding to my question about why you want to do this. Give it, again, for me, I think it feels like I'm disrespecting it by trying to, turn it into some kind of commodity. You should want it for this. It tastes like this, because everybody's experience is going to be different. What I do want to focus on isn't so much, and don't get me wrong, I do it for selfish reasons. The reason why I do the practice is because the feeling in my body is unbelievable. I'm addicted to the feeling that I get. I'm addicted to the feeling of what's going on with the energy coming out of my hands right now, the energy coming out of my heart. I'm addicted to that feeling. But the point of that is that this is a symptom that my body's energy systems are functioning well, that I'm connected on multiple energetic levels, and my body and my mind has access to all of that. And so the work to get that great, happy, wonderful, powerful, blissful feeling, the work is releasing the negativity, releasing the emotions, and going through maybe some challenging personal death experiences. Because there is a cost for it. You have to let go of your limited self. You're going to have to look at yourself. You're going to have to look at your narcissism, your selfishness, your self-destructiveness, your judgment, all the things that limit you. You're going to have to, and it won't be fun letting go of all that stuff. Some of it might be a relief, and it might be tears of joy as you release stuff, and sometimes it's going to be, wow, I really don't like looking at that part of myself, and I have to let that go. And your life will get to the next level, right? So this is really, when you go to learn from somebody, that should be your motivation, is I want to grow. Not, am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? Can you tell me what am I going to get from this? When people come to me like that, not that you guys are doing that, but when I've had people come to me like that in the past and say, yeah, I want to take your course, but I want to know what I'm going to get from it. I say, you know what? I'm the wrong teacher for you. I can't help you. So I'm not interested in being on the other end of somebody's test. No interest in that. And it's disrespectful to the energies that want to work through me. So you come with an open cup, and you come with humility. Having said that, this is a slightly different scenario, so people, I welcome your questions. Just be prepared. I'm going to answer however I'm going to answer. What else? Okay, Beth is looking forward to learning from me. Congratulations and thank you. I don't see any other questions here, so we're going to call it a day. Do me a favor, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell button, and hit the like for this video. Also, do me a favor and post these videos, the links, into your social media, your Facebook, your Twitter, your whatever, wherever you can post it. My goal is to get 1,000 Lightning Qigong subscribers, because where we're going to go, when we've got enough people doing this, we're going to start doing group intentions and group meditations, where we're going to take this triune energy of Chi, Kundalini, and heart-mind lightning energy, and we're going to intend for the whole rest of society, the collective unconscious of the world, to move up to the next level. And I'm willing to talk about, should we have specific intentions? You know, ending poverty, ending hunger, changing climate change, I mean, you know, whatever. But even if we just do it generally with sending that out so that people can become more aware, because this is the key. Having the consciousness of the wounds that are driving you from the heart center. This is what the cause of all of the problems in the world are. And if we can help people release and let go of that in a healthy way, society will move up to that next level, and we won't have to go through that, what I think is coming if we don't do something, which will be another, you know, kind of, you know, apocalyptic dark ages. All right, so that's it. Here are all of the links. Thunder Wizard, courses.thunderwizard.com has all of my books, all my DVDs, all my services, Vedic astrology, rune readings, etc. Energy healing, if you want me to, when I do my practice, if you want me to focus on you and to give you an energy transmission. Along with that, I'm also going to give you a very detailed meditative practice that you can be doing for the hour while I'm doing the energy transmission for you. And just that meditation in and of itself is worth, you know, what you're purchasing. But if you do that along with me while I'm doing the transmission, you'll even have that much more success. So you can go to energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. Of course, thunderwizard.com to check out all the levels that are available there. This is what keeps this channel going. This is what pays my bills. So if you want to support the channel, subscribe there as well. All right, that's it. I will see you guys when I see you.